Hey guys, this is Daniel Mao here, just explaining the Pod X3 Live and how it works. So let's just dive in. First off, I'm using a Fender Strat, which these sounds have been optimized for Fender Strat. So if you're playing something gainier like a Les Paul or like something with like high output humbuckers, we'll talk about that in a second. But it's kind of mainly geared towards single coils and bridge humbuckers, because I've always the general guitar that I've used has always been like a Fender Strat single humbucker. So this one obviously has two humbuckers. I'm primarily using it with the coil tapped at the moment. So moving down here, I just finished tuning, but to access the tuner, just hold down the tap tempo button, and that activates the tuner and gets you back out of it again. So tuning's done, sounding good. I'm gonna turn this up. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it without blowing away people in the office too much. But okay, so let's talk about this is patch 18A, which has been my main patch when using the Pod X3 Live for a long time. Basically, let's talk about the core tone. I'm going to turn the delay off for a moment, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So here's the core tone. Basically, this tone, it has, we can pan up to the guitar at this point. This tone has a little bite to it, but it's made to be mostly clean. You'll find that it's pretty responsive to your playing if you play lightly. Just switch to the pickup in the fourth position. I just need to tune again, I guess. But when you really lay into it, it'll overdrive the more you dig into it, and it'll clean up the softer your touch gets. So it's very responsive to your actual touch and the way you play. For example, I'm even gonna activate the humbucker. That was kind of messy. So basically, even just from like switching from single coils to humbuckers and playing softly. So basically, it's really dynamic to your playing style. So if you are playing a high output guitar like a Les Paul or something with humbuckers that's a bit more gainy, point you to the guitar pad. So right now it's in the off position. Again, these tones have been optimized for Fender Strat or Telecaster, anything with single coils or lower output humbuckers. But if you have a higher gain guitar, flip the guitar pad on. Now I'll play it, and you'll notice that it's even cleaner. Here's the the humbucker. So it still has a little bit of bite to it on this guitar. I'll just put it this way. This patch, and honestly the Pod X3 Live in general, is really what's the word? It works with your guitar. So your guitar will have a large effect on the sound. You might be like, oh, it sounds really muffled, or it sounds this way or that way. Honestly, it's a lot of it has to do with the guitar that you're using. Again, it's been optimized for Fender Strat, so you might need to make some tweaks and adjustments. If you do want to make some tweaks and adjustments, I recommend that you start here first based on the gain of your guitar. So off for lower output guitars, single coils and lower output humbuckers, flipped on for higher output humbuckers. That's like the easiest way to do it. If you need to make changes, I would recommend doing it. The same sounds have been copied and pasted in Bank banks 17, 18, 19, 20, and then 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So I would recommend picking like maybe the lower banks, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. Maybe like banks 17, 18, 19, and 20 could be like VBC, like maybe VBC guitar players or something. So you're kind of like, those are your banks, or maybe like one bank for each guitar player. I would recommend leave banks 31 through 32 alone, just so you have backups, because they're really hard to, like, if you make a change and save it, like, it's gone and it's really hard to bring back. So at least leave bank 31 and 32 alone, so we can copy and paste them from the original state if needed. Okay, last part of the general overview we already talked about. Tap tempo is here. Hold for the tuner. The way this is laid out, it's laid out in banks with, we're in bank 18 right now. We're on patch A, and this goes to patch 18B, 18C, 18D. So in each patch, we have two distinct, what do we call them? Signal paths. So here's 18A signal path 1 and signal path 2. So those are entire, like, think of them as two separate pedal boards and amplifiers. So this switches between 1 and 2, and here's the stomp. Right now we're at signal path 1. Here's the stomp for 1, mod, and delay, and now we're at tone 2, stomp, mod, delay. So you picture you have like two pedal boards and potentially two amplifiers within each patch. So the amount of flexibility is pretty crazy. Last of the general, just pretty much leave the compressor on all the time. Leave the master volume at 100 unless you need less. Then you can turn it down, like if for some reason it's clipping, but generally speaking, leave this at 100. Try your best not to ever touch one of these. It can wreak some serious havoc if you ever touch it. In fact, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to power it down. I'm going to turn everything to 0 so that they're all zeroed out. So hopefully the damage should be minimal. We'd never want to touch those unless you're editing a patch, and even then I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend to do it like where you can see what you're doing. It's kind of hard to explain. Don't worry about it. If you're running into like interference issues, you can do, this is ground and lift, flip that one or the other to see if you can eliminate feedback or hum. Here's the line out level, or the live out level. Basically, if you're going into an amplifier, you can flip it that way and it kind of like bumps the output gain down a bit. And I would not recommend going into an amplifier because you're amping an amp. Hey. Yeah. Oh, you're good. That was Michael Letney, ladies and gentlemen. So I wouldn't recommend amping an amp because it's already been amped. I would recommend just going direct out like this, just XLR left and right, or just left or just right. It doesn't matter because either one is mono. So I would leave this at line, which is like the right amount of signal for going direct out, and leaving that at 100. Okay, I think that mostly covers the general overview.